Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I think that it's really natural to always want to make comparisons. I mean, shoot, coaches and front office executives do this. I remember when LJ Collier was drafted, Pete Carroll on record post-draft was saying like, yeah, we wanted to find kind of like a Michael Bennett guy, and we feel like we really, really did. It's so natural to look at successful eras of Seahawks football. Maybe you're looking at offensive linemen that you love and remember from like an early 2000s team. Maybe it's a Legion of Boom era defense or offensive players from that team. Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse, obviously Marshawn Lynch. I always see like, okay, well, what's the Seahawk here that I can kind of use as framework for this new guy? And Bump, I think what you found is, look, sometimes those comparisons are fair, but sometimes we force them.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're forcing them a little too much when it comes to some Seahawks that are going to be either new and exciting to watch or just veterans who are really important to the squad, and we need to stop making those comparisons.
Yeah, the first comparison I hear is Reek Woolen and Sherman. At least to start, Reek Woolen is kind of like taking a few steps back. But the reason why they're compared to each other is because they're both tall and long. You got Reek Woolen, who is a bit faster than Sherman, but he also played receiver in college, just like Sherman played receiver in college. Then you make the transition to defense. You get drafted. You're a Pro Bowler early in your career, and people were hoping for that. The thing that Sherman has on Reek is that Sherman would tackle you. Like, he will come up and tackle you. He wasn't a guy that was going to knock you out or do all that. He's a DB, but he will tackle you. So that's the first one. I'm like, nah, that's not a good one. Okay. Second place, I'm going to go at the linebacker spot, and KJ and Bobby Wagner were crucial to this defense, right? You throw Malcolm Smith in there as well, making his big plays. But we naturally want to compare the linebacker spot because we think a Legion of Boom, your first place you go is to the perimeter and then that second level because that's where the ball hawks were in the big plays or whatnot. And listen, Ernest Jones is a great football player, but in his first few years, he ain't touching Bobby Wagner's stats. Tyrese Knight shouldn't even be in the conversation because he's just a rookie. So linebacker, nah, I don't see that either. So now let's go to the safety spot. In the safety spot, something that everyone is saying is that Imaware is like Cam Chancellor. And if you've listened to me over the past couple of weeks, you hear me say that he's got a little more Kyle Hamilton in him than a Cam Chancellor. There are certain characteristics that every safety should have. You should have a range. You should be able to cover sideline to sideline. You should be a good tackler. You are a safety. This called that position for a reason. You're the last line of defense back there. You should be able to tackle. You should make some big plays because you're like a freelancer. You're walking around and seeing what's going on out there when you're deep into coverage. But to say MORI is Chancellor, I'd say no. There is no Chancellor in this league. There will never be, at least, I won't say never, but the way the game is played now doesn't allow for Cam Chancellors out there. Yeah. Cam would be in the box in today's game. They say, well, you know what? You're a linebacker. Let's put you on the edge and see what the heck you got to do. But because the game is played differently, you can't say that. He's more of a Hamilton. Has he made some plays in college that I think a Cam Chancellor would make? For sure. Has he made some plays that Kyle Hamilton will make? For sure. But you look at Kyle Hamilton and the way he's using coverage and in that nickel spot, that's more like what Nick is. So when you look at these positions, you can always find some type of trait that resembles another player from the past, whether it be Legion of Boom or somewhere else, because you look for some of the same things in corner. You look for some of the same things in linebacker and safety. There are things that boxes you need to check, and then there are the outliers like, oh, but he does this well. This guy does this well. So look, I know everyone is looking for the Legion of Boom. And let me tell you, it ain't happening. All right, you will never see that type of defense here again. The Baltimore Ravens had one of the best defenses of all time 2 years ago. Ain't nobody comparing them to that 2000 Ravens defense. It ain't going to happen. The Denver Broncos, one of the best offenses of all time. What is that, 2012, 13, 14, something like that, right? No one's looking at the Chiefs and saying, dang, they're like them. Negative. There are going to be explosive offenses and explosive defenses, but when it comes to finding that player that is just like one of the greats who have passed, I think that's so hard to do. They might resemble each other in some ways, but to say he is that player, I think it's tough.
Here's why I think it's good to separate those comparisons. We do them very naturally because I, as a football fan, want to have an idea of what kind of player someone is. Like if you tell me, he's kind of like, I don't know, like Doug Baldwin meets I don't even throw in some other Cooper Cup. Like if I'm like, okay, so he's slight, like good route running, maybe like quick off, the line. Like I can kind of put in my mind what to expect from this player. It's your way of telling me, as an analyst, the things he's good at, right? But you also have to keep remembering, and this is what I remind myself of, not to, this sounds so stupid, but put that player in a box or expect from that player what another career looked like. So, for instance, the Jalen Milroe-Russell Wilson comparisons, I keep wanting to be like, you guys, no. In fact, even with Jalen Milroe and Jalen Hurts comparisons, with Jalen Milroe and Lamar Jackson comparisons, like, it's just, I think we very, very naturally want to draw those comps, but then not only do you limit the ways that you might want to utilize that player or the ways you see that player, it's usually really premature and a disservice to the former player.
Right.
Russell Wilson was a much more polished product as a passer, period, than Jalen was. Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts were as well. It doesn't mean Jalen Milroe isn't working with anything, but it does set up this unfair expectation that, like, oh, look out, he's going to be the starter week 1. Well, hang on, he's got a lot of growing to do.
Got a lot to do. And Milroe's a better runner than what Russell Wilson was.
So much better.
Right now, he's a better runner than he is. So there are things, I think it's natural for humans and analysts to want to do that, because just like you described beautifully, it's like, look, okay, what type of player is he, right? When you get comps out there, like I comped Amarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina, to Jonathan Taylor. I don't think he's exactly like Jonathan Taylor, but his style is similar to Jonathan Taylor. So maybe that gives you an idea of what offense that he would flourish in. So it's a tricky game you play, and it's a game that allows someone to imagine the possibilities with a player. But when it comes down to it, man, your creator, whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, don't really duplicate unless you're talking about twins. Even twins are different, right? There's always something a bit different.
I can tell Mary Kate and Ashley apart for sure.
I can't.
I can.
Really?
Yeah, I'll show you during the break.
I can't do it.
Okay.
I'm bad with that stuff.
No, but I'll teach you over 5 minutes. You'll be able to tell them apart.
All right.